One of the things that's been kind of a hot topic within Chiefs Kingdom over the last 2 weeks, I would say, pretty much all offseason, really. So we didn't re-sign Orlando Brown Jr. We ended up signing Juwan Taylor with the thought process, and I think a lot of fans just thought this more so that based on his price tag with Juwan Taylor, that he was going to play left tackle, and Coach Reed, when they signed him, pretty much said, yeah, we're going to give him a shot at left tackle, but he could play all types of positions. He could even play center. So kind of left the door open for multiple positions to play. But most people thought with this price tag, he was going to go play left tackle. So then the last week after the draft, Chiefs ended up signing Donovan Smith, left tackle from Tampa Bay, 1 year, about $9 million, up to $9 million. So based on that, last week, a lot of fans and some experts thought that Donovan Smith would be moving to right tackle and Juwan Taylor would still stay at left tackle based on how much Donovan Smith is getting paid compared to what Juwan Taylor's getting paid. Mm-hmm. But then this week, Andy Reid said that Donovan Smith will stay at left tackle, the position he's been played his entire career in the NFL, and Juwan Taylor will stay at right tackle. So this is something JD was not surprised about at all, because he's been kind of saying that once we got Donovan Smith, he's going to play left tackle. That's pretty much it. So what do you, when you hear this, when you hear people speculating just based on price tag of what a guy, he's making, a right tackle's making this amount of money, he needs to play left tackle. What does that, as a guy who played both positions, what does this whole situation tell you? And when you hear about these price tags everyone's talking about with right tackles and left tackles?
So traditionally the left tackle's getting big money because he's protecting the blind side of the quarterback. Now, with that said, if you're an NFL quarterback at the NFL level and you don't have any backside awareness, what kind of a quarterback are you? That's number one. Number two, nowadays, your best pass rusher, and you can watch any game out there, your best pass rusher, if you got a big-time left tackle, where is that pass rusher going to line up? He's going to line up on your right tackle.
Right tackle,
so
right.
Nowadays, as much as they move these elite pass rushers around, you got to have two tackles. So whether one's getting paid more or less, you both got to be able to protect. And another thing that people don't consider enough when you're talking about the tackle position. So sure, maybe there's a premium on protecting the quarterback's blind side, but a lot of times when we're making this right tackle, left tackle distinction, we're not thinking about the run game. So what does that offensive lineman bring to you in the run game? Because a lot of times we're discounting the ability of a right tackle, and they may be an absolute dominant run blocker, and we're not taking into consideration what that player is bringing to the team as a whole. So maybe you bring somebody in and you lose a little bit in the protection game, but you gain a lot more in the run game. So you got to factor in. You got to factor in all of that, what that player is going to bring. Then on top of that, you got a guy like Mahomes. I look at Indianapolis when they had Peyton Manning. I think he was the least sacked quarterback in the league as long as he was playing. Is that because he had a great offensive line? No. He got rid of the ball so fast. He knew everything that was going on. So, I'm not trying to say those guys were bad, but the quarterback is going to make the offensive lineman better as well, and vice versa. So a guy like Mahomes, am I that worried about a pass rush? I mean, sure, but is it? I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I mean, you got a guy dynamic enough that, they're going to be fine at tackle is what I'm saying. Now, the issue would come in if they start trying to switch them and all that, because take it from me, that can be a difficult situation. I had to do it once, moving over to right tackle. I'd been playing left tackle for I don't know how many weeks, and then I got thrown into the lineup on the right side, and I had a pretty rough game. So it's not easy for everybody, but then I spent a lot of time as a swing tackle, so I got reps at both. It can be done. It just really depends on how long it's been since they've taken left tackle and right tackle snaps. But doing it in a week is not ideal, but it can be done.
Yeah. So a few things there that you was talking about, and I agree with every point you made. And as a matter of fact, that was the point I was making also too, is that Obviously left tackles, because you said the premium of blocking the blind side is why left tackles get paid more. And traditionally, that's what it has been. But I told him also, too, at the right tackle, I said, this is not really a new concept to put your best pass rush against your right tackle. It hasn't. I said, over the years, over my 11-year career playing, I've had the guys that was lined up at the left defensive end, I had Reggie White, Michael Strahan, Charles Haley, Charles Mann, Kevin Green, Julius Peppers. I mean, I could go on and on of guys that played on the right tackle. Like you said, this is not a new concept that teams have really been doing. Michael Strahan had 22 sacks in a year because he lined up on the right tackle.
That's right.
And so I don't think people kind of go back and think about those things. They kind of look at things right now, and I'm just like, listen, I blocked against the best to ever do it. And so the thing is, defensively, we understand that. Like, usually you'll try to attack, we'll say maybe the weaker guy. Okay. If your weaker guy is your center, you're going to try to attack him in some way, right? You know that. You're going to try to hit the A gap. If it's a guard or something, you're going to try to exploit the B. See, same thing with a tackle. You try to put him out there in space. But that's, with Patrick Mahomes, kind of going to him, part of the problem that OBJ had to deal with is because when I looked at the film and I'm watching this, Patrick Mahomes retreats farther than everybody else and every other quarterback. He's already sitting back at 7 yards. He catches the ball and he retreats for another 5 yards. So he's already sitting 12, 10, almost 15 yards back. As a defensive end, you're thinking now, because you're watching film, if I beat my tackle to a point, right? That's what you're trying to do. Because now you see where do we interject that? Okay. Can I get that back there fast enough the tackle to retreat? And you understand how difficult it is. I mean, I'm blocking, I'm pass blocking too as a tight end.
Yep.
A lot of them coming in motion. And even then, Jordan, I'm talking about I come up with a motion, I'm 2 or 3 yards off the ball. Guys are still coming, and it's still stuff. You know what I mean? Yep. And so I don't think people quite understand that if your specialty, like you said, if I've been playing left tackle predominantly my entire life, my career, I will probably have a better chance at it than a guy that has been playing, the swing tackle, kind of going back and forth, because I just have more reps at it. I've been practicing it more. And so I tell people all the time, like, you got to think about the dexterity. You got to think about your hip. You got to think about your of getting over. And as a tight end, because we go side to side, I would get into the left-hand stance if I had to block a guy. Right-hand stance, obviously, if I'm on the right side. And so the difficulty of trying to do it on both sides, man, is very tough.
Yep.
I said, yeah, it can be done, but it's very difficult. It's going to take time. It's going to take experience. It's going to take reps. All the things come into it. And so what Andy Reid did, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to kind of lay it out to you how the conversation went. When Juwan Taylor was signed, Andy Reid kind of laid the table out saying, hey, we got an athletic tackle that plays right tackle. He can move over to left, saying he could, right? Operative word could, okay? But he could play on any part of the line. And so what he's doing is he's actually kind of emphasizing on his athletic ability,
right?
Okay. I think, and this is me personally, okay, and I'm looking between the lines, right? I'm just reading between the lines. This is me as a player and then as a coach. I'm like, okay, we know Juwan Taylor was one of better right tackles in the league, top 10 at the time. To move him over to left, we just got finished with that experiment with OBJ, okay? So, kind of worked, somewhat, wasn't it, people, I liked it. A lot of people didn't like it. They didn't want him to be highest paid tackle. Okay, that's an argument people can make. But then all of a sudden they're going to get another guy from right tackle to move him over to left, the same experiment, and hope that he wins. And I think part of it was Andy was saying, we're going to beat this guy here. That's a good contingency plan to move him over to the left if we need to. Now, we know in the draft, I'm looking at the top 5 tackles that was coming out, okay? And I said maybe your top 5 tackles that I was looking at could probably start day one in the NFL, right? You know how it is as a rookie. You get the type of coaching that you need, the toolage, the detailed experience, dealing with, working with your technique. I think it's what guys in college really they lack is just that detail, technique-wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get him into the system, that guy like a Paris Johnson, or, at the time we were thinking about getting Anton Harris and all those guys, my man from Tennessee. These was guys that I was like, these guys could come in and play day one. Now, didn't quite work out that way. Okay? Didn't quite work out that way. So the Chiefs were like, okay, we don't got a top 5 tackle. Now we got to do something differently with our draft. Okay? They end up getting the right tackle later on, third round. Okay, Wanya Morris, very talented guy. Like you said, his value comes into he is a road grader. He will block you all over the place. You know what I mean? That's a strong suit. Okay, value-wise, right? We're seeing it. Good, very good pass blocker. But I think the Chiefs, Veach and all those guys are still looking for a left tackle out here.
Mm-hmm.
They're still looking maybe for this other plan. And so nobody really seen this thing coming. They didn't know Donovan Smith was going to be on the street or even he was going to have a home, right? Well, they end up signing him, okay? And people went ballistic. What are we doing giving Juwan Taylor $80 million and this yada yada, or $60 million guaranteed? And why do we sign him for this amount of money? Okay. We got Donovan Smith for $9 million. Okay. And he said, hey, he's going to be our starting left tackle. And people couldn't understand. They couldn't wrap their head around a guy that is actually the hammer, the tool that plays this position, specialized in, is going to play that position now. I'm like, what do y'all think he was doing? And so I just, in my estimation, I was sitting there saying, look, Juwan Taylor has that ability, like you said, swing tackle, goes right to left. He has that ability. We know athletic-wise, he's off the charts. We've seen him. We watched him play, and they've been watching him over the years, play against him, obviously, too. So it was a great signing. And what it did, it just bolstered the entire offensive line. Totally. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But what do you think? I mean, just kind of laying that out, what Andy said about, hey, he could play this position, bring a guy in who's actually left tackle. What do you think about that, man?
Well, so I'm going to bring up one guy, Mike McGlinchey from Notre Dame. Okay. Yes. He's been playing. He was in San Francisco for however many years, but he played left tackle in college. And then what they did when he went to San Francisco, he moves over to right tackle. So I think that's a great example of what can be done when you look at offseason, OTAs, minicamp, because it will take, I'm going to say, at least a good month to start getting comfortable doing the opposite. Now, you've got 2 guys at tackle that are athletes. So I think there's a lot you can do with an athlete. Every team has a swing tackle, and this. You had to protect on both sides. After some time, you get used to it, and you're equally proficient both ways. So, is there enough time to get both of these athletes at the proper position? Absolutely. So, I think the only time you would have an issue with a tackle that you're trying to flip-flop is going to be if you bring in like an older veteran that's been playing left tackle or right tackle for their whole career. You're going to meet, they're going to resist moving. As a matter of fact, I saw it with Trey Thomas in Jacksonville. He was a left tackle his whole career. And at one point they're like, I need you to go take some reps at right tackle. Let's see if you can do it. Guess what Trey said? No, I'm not doing it. I'm not going over there, not doing it. And Trey ended up not even dressing for games because he wasn't going to go over to play right tackle.
Wow, really? Wow.
So now he's a multi-year Pro Bowler, and he's earned the right. He's earned the right to say that. And part of it, he didn't even want to take a chance of getting embarrassed over there on the right side. Could Trey do it? Yeah. But at that point in his career, I think it's a lot harder to teach an old dog new tricks. But these guys, they're young. I think they'll be receptive to it. It'll take them an off season to get used to it, and then they'll be perfectly comfortable, ideally, by the time the season rolls around. But you got 2 athletes. I mean, that's a good thing, especially at the offensive line.
Right. And you know, kind of going back to your point that originally you was talking about, like having that on the right side, you have to be proficient on that side as well because of the guys that you're going against, right? You can looking at the Watt brothers, the Bosa brothers. This is what you're seeing under the side. So you can't have chopped liver on the right tackle. You just can't. You know, you got to have a guy.
I know.
You know what I mean?
You're a baller.
Yes. And so I said this: you pay a guy $80 million right now. Obviously, the market's going to go up year after year after year after year, right? Worse down there at Tampa, he's going to kill the market. He's going when he comes out as a free agent, he's going to rip the market apart. Right tackle, and so we do see that the closing of the gap. Okay, and I wanted people to understand the reason why it was still a gap there. I was like, look, there's still a gap because of the blind side, because you have right dominant quarterbacks in the league. That's the reason. Now, like I was saying before, you know, when you have Patrick Mahomes who's retreating back a little bit further, 1 or 2 yards, that's huge. We know this is a game of inches, and then the yards back there for a tackle, because in your head, the clock's going off. Like we know this, we know as far as like blocking. And I think people don't quite understand. Like when you're blocking, you got this in your head, like this point, right? That you're squaring the guy up, you're trying to stay square on the start, you know, half the man, engage. And once you're engaging, you got to feel where the quarterback is too. You got to, I mean, that's spatial awareness as well. And it's tough because when you are, like you said, if you're been a left tackle your whole life and you're going to right, you know, it's a little bit different, right? You learn everything. Can you imagine Willie Roaf, okay, we know his hips was locked, left tackle, right? I mean,
no way he goes over there.
No way. There's no way. There's no way. And his gait is the way it is. Well, it's because he's been playing left tackle at a high level for so long, right? And so you got to bring in, massage therapists, chiropractors. I mean, we're talking about a whole different body, change that you had to do with somebody. Like you said, it'll take a whole offseason to do it, kind of get a guy ready. But like you said, an older guy would be, he would definitely fight it. But 2 young guys, I think Juwan Taylor, and I said this too. I said, I think you still leave the door open for Juwan Taylor to go left tackle if you needed him to, if he needed to do that. But if you have a guy that is proficient, who has been left tackle for how many years has Donovan Smith played? Almost 10, has he got 10 years?
He's 29, so I'm going to guess like 6 years.
6 or 7.
6 or 7. Oh.
So
in my opinion, he's still young.
Yeah, he is. He's still young. And the thing is, he's still young enough where, he had some injuries last year. And so I know he wants to still win at left tackle. He's like, look, man, before I got hurt, I was one of the top left tackles in the league.
Mm-hmm.
The coach, the offensive line coach at Tampa was saying that. He was like, look, man, he could be top 3 left tackles in the league without a doubt. And he was just getting incrementally better and better every single year. Last year, he had a kind of a terrible year, but fighting through injuries. You know how it is for anybody to be as good as you want to be, fighting through injury. But I've always said this: if a hammer is the tool that you need, why use a screwdriver to nail in the nail when you got the hammer? You could use a screwdriver, right? Mm-hmm. You could use a screwdriver, but use a hammer. Use a guy that is proficient in this. Okay, he's on a 1-year deal. This is a 1-year deal for him. Okay, and so $9 million for left tackle. If this works out, he starts for the entire year, and he's playing at a high level left tackle. That would be the greatest signing ever, I think, for the Chiefs. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it. I'm like, man, everybody should be happy with this. I mean, it's a win-win situation because you're getting a guy that was playing at a high level before he got hurt, goes back to his original position. You got him in for $9 million. And he plays well, man, that's a great deal for the Chiefs if that happens.
So are you saying that they got a right tackle, they got a left tackle, let them play right tackle and left tackle?
I say let them play right tackle, left tackle.
Yeah, no. I totally agree with that.
And I believe also, too, like you said, Juwan Taylor will still get reps in left. You know how it is. Coach will be like, hey, man, come on over here and get some left, right? Because he is athletic. And so a guy who's athletic, that wouldn't bother him at all.
Yeah.
And so to him, he's just doing athletic things, right? I'm lined up. It's a good challenge for him. And so if Donovan Smith goes down, you can easily put Juwan Taylor at left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we had Thuney. When Thuney came in and he played lights out at left tackle, and he's left guard. Like, well, shoot, Thuney, he can do that because he's athletic. He's a lot more athletic than what people think he is.
Yeah.
And he crushed it. He absolutely crushed it out there playing left tackle, right? So I think, like you said, it's a great problem to have when you have athletic guys on a line. It's a great, great problem to have. I think they got the Wanye Morris, and we got other guys that, Niang is still coming back from injury. We talked about, our guy, Darren Kennard, who could play right guard and right tackle, EB. But now you got depth. You got guys that play their original position. Now they say, well, look, we could put Juwan Taylor original position. He's got the Bosa brothers, right? He's got all these guys he got to go against this year. Like, we got to have a proficient right tackle. We can't just keep putting guys in that just okay. We can't have that.
Well, and you can't let a price tag that you're paying somebody be the reason that you disagree with. Like, oh, well, he's getting $80 million. He shouldn't be playing right tackle. No. Yes. And you're also going to see, I don't know how much longer Lane Johnson's got on his contract, but he's another one that's going to get paid just like a left tackle. I mean, he played really well last year. He's arguably the best right tackle in the league. And he'll get paid just like a left tackle. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's making somewhere like $20 million. I think I had it on average.
He's making the most of all the right tackles.
Okay. It's ridiculous.
This is ridiculous, man.
These kids making this kind of money.
Yeah, man. Yes. Yeah. Congratulations to him, man. I'm hats off to him. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Donovan Smith's deal. They released the details for Donovan Smith's deal today. It's 1 year up to $9 million, but it's only $2 million is guaranteed. The rest is incentive based. So it's only $2 million guarantees. I mean, it's
only $2 million. Well, I've got to think about inflation too. We got to factor that in, and maybe that's something that the fans hadn't factored in either. Maybe they don't realize that $80 million is, not what it used to be.
So. That's true.
Somebody needs to do the math on that, and they can put it in the paper, and maybe that'll make people happy. Like, hey, this $80 million is really only 40. That'll make them happy.
Right. Hey, look, man, I'm trying to survive right now. Tough that is. Yeah, I really believe, man. And kind of like just kind of seeing, what this offensive line has gotten better with the signing of Donovan Smith, okay? Because you're not really boxing the corner by saying, look, Juwan Taylor has to go over to the left tackle, okay? Now you do have like that guy because it's a proven deal for him, so he's got even extra incentive because he's like, I'm trying to get back on track. And so if I play well with the Chiefs don't sign me to a long-term deal, somebody else could use me.
Yeah.
And he's going to go out and he's trying to win that job at left tackle. And Juwan Taylor, like I said, he'll go and get reps over left tackle, but he's going to be the starting right tackle, no doubt about it. Unless, like Donovan Smith, and if all counts are true, he's healthy. They're saying that he's whatever he had. I think what they said is elbow might be part of the
shoulder or elbow.
Shoulder, elbow, one of them.
Yeah.
But I remember you used to wear the sleeves on yours. But you know how the elbows and stuff. If you're out and you're starting to feel better, we're able to lock out on guys, get hands on guys. That makes all the difference. It makes all the difference.
Well, one last thing I want to add too, and shout out to Andy Heck, the offensive line coach. I was coached by Andy in Jacksonville, and I think he's a phenomenal coach, and I think he's done a great job with what he's got there. And I think their success in the run game, and I think there was a general nastiness there that they lacked in previous years, and I think Andy should get a lot of credit for that. And these guys are in good hands there with him, and I know that for a fact. So, Kansas City fans, I wouldn't worry too much about this. They're in good hands. They'll be all right.
Good, man. Shout out to Andy Heck. Absolutely, man. No doubt about it. I don't think he gets enough praise as he does. And I was just saying that, him having to deal with this, he's up to the task. I'm like, hey, look, he's up to the task.
Yeah.
It'd be harder. He had to coach him up, but then who would you want coaching young guys like this up?
Right. Absolutely. And you're right. Andy doesn't get enough credit. Offensive linemen don't get enough credit. We're so underappreciated. It makes us sad, people. It really does. So love us, like us. Don't. All we do is take criticism. We get circled by Madden, and always bad. They never talk about the good things that we do.
Put in for the poor tackles right now making $80 million. They need to bump it up.
You're right.
But hey, man, I look, every point that you made, I think that's sometimes, having people understand, somebody like you went right to left, and having that confidence and hearing from you, letting them know, like, man, everything's going to be all right. These things can be done. It's not going to be such a big deal. I've reiterated that, hey, look, the Chiefs line just got better with the signing of this guy. Yep. And so everybody should be happy with that, regardless of how you think this is going to work out. Now you have, if he starts, beautiful. If he's backing up and you got, somewhat of depth, even better, right?
Well, I'll tell you 100%. The offensive line now got better in the run game. No question. No question. Mm-hmm. So for whatever that's worth, I mean, if you won't be able to run the ball, they got the dudes to do it more so than last year. I assure you that.
I agree with you. And that's going to be a big part of what the Chiefs do.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.